What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and I know it's been a little over a week, maybe 2 weeks almost, since I put out any content, and I just want to let you guys know it's not because I have basically, gotten into a mental state. Well, I may have kind of gotten to that mental state where I don't want to do things, but um, it's not because I'm like in a deep state of depression or anxiety where I just forgot to find my joy in doing content. I've actually been quite busy, and I want to apologize to you guys for that because I told you that I was going to go back to being regular, and I still am committed to doing that. It's just that something major has happened in my life, and I've been really, really busy taking care of that stuff. What happened was, so it's kind of crazy because while I do consider it major, it wasn't like life altering for me. A friend of mine's lost their mother, and I was kind of, trying to help console them when I can in between trying to work and take care of like that thing that I keep telling you guys, like there may be something big that's positive coming, in my life, which I still refuse to talk about openly because I, you know, don't want to jinx myself. So between those two things, um, there was some, you know, my time was kind of occupied with trying to deal with those things, but then in the midst of like going through my work schedule, dealing with the situations going on my job, dealing with the personal struggles, um, and trying to help my friend on the 16th of August, my aunt passed. And, you know, that kind of like made everything pause. As it's funny because we've gotten the news weeks ago from her doctor that she had things going on which would possibly make her be terminal. There were procedures that they could have tried to see if they could like mitigate those issues and make it so that she can, you know, not necessarily, avoid death, but not be in a terminal state. And she refused to take those measures. Um, she was 94, and I feel like she was kind of at peace with everything because she told them like she didn't want to go through the whole hassle of having to do this surgery that wasn't guaranteed at her age, especially since they had told her that she may not be eligible for it because of her age, and her complications. And she was comfortable with doing like whatever they could do, be it hospice, whatever, to help her like be as comfortable as possible as she moved closer and closer to transitioning. And so, we kind of were sort of prepared for it, but we weren't prepared for it the way it came because it's like flash forward a couple of weeks later, and all of a sudden her health started to rapidly deteriorate. Um, so much so to the point where, you know, 2 days before her death, she was taken to the hospital, and they were telling, my cousin who was caring for her that they'll do everything possible to make her as comfortable as possible and to make the move to like going to hospice much faster now that she had kind of decided upon it, and they were working on it in those 2 weeks prior to try to figure out how they were going to do it. They were going to like speed up the process for her. And this is like 2 days after that, she passed. And it's funny because they said that I never got to see her um, when she was in the hospital, which I truly, truly regret, like because of my work schedule and things like that. Um, which to me feels like no excuse. I should have dropped everything and went to at least go see her because we all had a feeling like this time was coming soon. We just didn't think it was coming this soon, I guess. And I think that's part of why I have regrets because I think I was in that mode like before I got the call that she was in the hospital that this shit's not going to happen anytime soon. You know what I mean? Um, it was going to happen soon, but not that soon, I should say. So, you know, it's just been like wild because this like past week I've been going through the motions, partly because um, you know, I love my aunt. We've had our issues, like all family members have issues, but I never not loved my aunt. And the other part being that, like, with my mom being gone, with my grandmother being gone, I have an uncle who's still alive, but he's never been like that close to us because he left home when he was very, very young and got into the military and like lived all over the world. So he's never been a constant presence in our life. It's just like whenever he had a chance to come visit his mom, we'd see him or, you know, occasionally hear from him with funerals and things like that. But it was like we never had the relationship that we had with my aunt. In particular, for me personally, when my parents got divorced, my mom asked me what did I want to do because, God bless her soul. My mom always thought about things and tried to do what's best for everybody and not, force things upon you. Kind of like how I am. Like, I don't like to force things upon you. I don't want to force my presence upon you if I can. Even if it hurts me, I just don't want to do anything that I think would possibly cause anybody to be upset or to, be uncomfortable, if I can, you know, because I know how it feels to have those things done to you. And so I get extra sensitive about that when doing that to people. So my mom asked me, would I want to come with her or did I prefer to stay with my father? And of course, I picked my mom because I was very, very, I'm a mama's boy. I'm not even gonna fake. I'm a mama's boy. To my bone, to my soul, I'm a mama's boy. And like people always say, like say that. And as a kid, I used to take that as like kind of a disrespect. But fuck, hey, I'm my mom through and through. So we moved up here to the Washington D.C. area from Georgia, and we came here and stayed with my grandmother and my aunt. You know, my aunt lived with my grandmother, and between my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother, those were the people who shaped me into the person who I am. You know, my grandmother passed. I always get this date wrong, but I believe she passed in 2006. In July of 2006. My mom passed August 5th, 2014. And now my aunt is gone. She passed, you know, a week ago from this date. And, you know, the people who had the most influence on who I am in raising me are all fucking gone. And so it's been like kind of a surreal situation to me because it's just like, damn, it's all the people who shaped me are gone. Even though my uncle's still around, again, he's never been around us. So it's kind of like a passing of a generation or a moment in my life that's never going to be there again. Because it's funny, I was helping my cousin making the program. I'm trying to do all I can because she's having it rough. She was adopted by my aunt, basically, so she's not blood, but she's blood as far as we're concerned. You know, because family's not always born into your life. Family comes into your life. You know, in any way. That's why, like, when you have certain friends, you see them as family, even though they're not blood. The whole brother from another mother, thing, all that stuff. That shit's true because you know you don't have to be of the same blood to be family, and that's how it is with my cousin. So I'm trying to help her as much as I can because it's hitting her hard because that was the woman who took up the charge to raise her. You know, yeah, and it's just wild because it's just like we're going through things, doing what we can. I'm helping her make the program for the funeral, things like that, and going through pictures, get pictures of my mom and my aunt together, or my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother together. But then it goes even deeper than that because it's like my mom, my aunt's best friend, who I always call my aunt, and you know her best friend's um, daughter, who we always call you know my aunt, and then you see like my aunt's best friend, a cousin who was really really close to the family, another cousin who's really really close to the family, and so on and so forth. And I bring all these people up because they're all gone. It's like that whole generation of our family, you know, be it blood or not, they're all fucking gone. And like with my aunt was the last link to all of that, you know? So an era of my life, like a big part of my life growing up, is fucking gone. So it's been like kind of hard for me to deal with it while I'm trying to stay strong and help my cousin and do all I can because and keep that connection. It's just like, it's just been rough. You know what I mean? It's just been a really, really rough period. So I apologize, you guys, if I haven't put a content. It's funny because I've recorded stuff that I planned on editing right before my aunt died, and I just haven't done it because I'm just trying to be as supportive as I can to my cousin and to do everything that I can, you know, to help while trying to deal with my own grief and think about things because there's a lot of other things going on too that has come from this that has made me think about and reflect on. Just like with you guys, like I've always kind of felt bad that I didn't keep up to doing this stuff, partially because I've had people say things to me about how like they love my commentary, they've loved hearing from me. They appreciated some of the things that I've said to them because I've had, when I live stream, I would have conversations with people about their stuff, their personal things. I try to be as connected to people as possible because, again, I'm my mother's child. My mom was always that person. Like, she had no problem talking to strangers about things or people who she may not have been super close to. Like, it's funny. I always remember as a kid, she was always close to one of my brother's girlfriends because she cared about people. Um, and I guess I've always taken that from her to care about people, and I got it why she did that because there'd be things that had happened that, we all see it in families, friends like that. People treat you certain ways, and you kind of hated how you were treated in that situation. So you did everything you could to treat people how you wish you were treated. And I think I've adopted that from my mom. And I think that's why I'm always trying to be as, considerate as I can, as thoughtful as I can, because I hate when I get treated a certain way and that shit don't feel good. And I don't want anybody else to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because even though I had my issues with my aunt, she was kind of the same way. And I feel like it's just always been like a tradition from my family that we adopt people or like go out of our way to treat people as kindly as possible and put out as much positive energy as possible. Even if we've said things to each other, did things to each other that may not have been cool, at the end of the day, at the core, the type of people we are is like, we forgive. We may not forget, but we forgive and we try to do everything we can to help each other and to help others and be as, kind as possible. Of course, there are people who don't feel that way, who don't treat things that way. You know, God help them. But you know, generally speaking, that's just how it is. Even on my father's side, it's the same way too. Very, very like giving people, and I appreciate that about my lineage, and I appreciate that about my aunt. Like I could say, like there have been issues between us, but we've always forgiven and we've always done what we needed you know, to, even if we didn't have time, even if we, weren't able to, we still cared, and I still love my aunt. That's my mom's sister, child of my grandmother. Like, I love my family, for good or worse. I love my family, and it hurts because, again, this whole generation is gone. This whole period of my life is now kind of like faded, and you know I mourn that, and I mourn her, and I feel for my cousin because, again, I won't go into details, but like if you knew the details in the situation, you would be very, very heartbroken to know like the sad history repeating itself and putting her in that position to have to deal with this. Like, and then again, she's not blood, so there's other things that come to mind and fears that it's just like I just want to make sure, like, you know, it's rough. So, sorry you guys if I haven't been active. I'm gonna try to like edit some of the stuff that I've recorded and do some other stuff. Just give me a couple of days because August 26th it will be the day that we put my aunt to rest, and yeah, I think I'll be healed after a couple of days, and making sure everybody's okay and making sure I'm okay. Um, at least to the point to where like it's only certain other things that's going on that kind of pale in comparison to this that I could deal with a lot more easier and get back to being more constant with the content. So yeah. Um, anyway, you guys, thank you for listening. If you hung in through this whole thing, I really, really appreciate it because sometimes you need to vent these things and just talk about the situation and have someone hear. And it's part of the reason why I do a lot of the content that I do because I like the idea of giving voice to things beyond just games and sports and all of that, but real life concerns that people have. And maybe get like be able to say something to make them know, like, hey, you're not the only one dealing with this thing. And, hopefully give them some comfort. But this time I'm doing this in hopes of getting some comfort myself, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, as always, you guys, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you later. This your boy Blak Magus, and I'm out. Deuces.